Hi, I'm Elizabeth Liz Muschett. Welcome to my channel. Today we're doing the full moon forecast with my guest, Justin Crocket, Elzie. Welcome, Justin. How are you?
I'm doing good, Liz. I'm excited to talk about this full moon today.
Yes, and we're recording on the day of the full moon.
Yep.
So, Justin is an archetypal and Jyotish astrologer, teacher, author, and seer. You can contact him at his email address, justin.elzie@gmail.com. I'm an astrologer, author, and intuitive, and you can reach me through my website, alightpath.com. And we are talking about the Taurus full moon. Taurus is the fixed modality, which is about completing a project. It's like doing the work that needs to be done. Taurus is of the earth element, so I chose the word grounded. The planet that rules Taurus is Venus. The full moon is a culmination time and a time to let go and release. Taurus is the sign is very practical. The mantra is I have. And the Scorpio sun that's opposite that Taurus moon is all about transforming. Would you like to add anything, Justin?
Yeah, just a thought about for those who are learning astrology, why it's called a fixed modality, why Scorpio and Taurus are called fixed modalities, because going back to medieval astrology, um, it was based on the seasons. And so during the season of Taurus or during the season of Scorpio, which is we're in now, um, the weather doesn't change. And it's fixed. The weather is fixed. And so that's why it's called a fixed modality. And Taurus also is, I like it has that mantra I have. And so it's about how do we say, gain versus the opposite sign, which is Scorpio, which is loss, gain or loss or abundance, and letting go. Those opposites. Some people even say it's material or spiritual. Is the opposite, and so we're with this sun and moon. We're in that energy of either gain and abundance versus death and loss.
Thank you for that. So the Taurus full moon is also called the Mourning Moon. Occurs today, November 5th at 5:19 this morning a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, and that was 8:19 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. And the moon's at 13 degrees Taurus in 22 minutes, and the sun's at 13 Scorpio, 22 minutes. They're opposite each other in the sky. And Justin's going to lead us through the Nakshatras for this full moon.
Yeah, so one of the things we always look at are the lunar mansions. These are uh, the constellations in the sky that the sun and moon are going through in particular at this particular period of time. It's called Nakshatras in Jyotish astrology and Eastern astrology. And so the sun in this case is in the lunar mansion of Swati, and it's in the fourth pada, which is ruled by water. And it the ruling deity for the sun in that we're dealing with this moon is Vayu, which is the god of wind or life breath or prana. And whenever you have a planet in this nakshatra Swati, it's a good, let's say you had Mercury in this nakshatra, then you're going to be, doing mantras would be really good. As a matter of fact, I've seen people with Mercury in this. They tend to be people who are either singing or doing mantras. So this is the god of wind and prana. And the symbol for this is a blade of grass, because as we could see, and the keyword theme is adaptability or emotional adaptability. The energy around this nakshatra that the sun is in is all about being like the blade of grass moving with the wind. Okay, so it represents a personality that moves in different directions, but is always changing form. And so this has a very wind or air energy to it, but it's also emotional because this is the fourth pada. And the ruling planet, of course, is Rahu, or the north node. So this is the way the sun is acting. It's bringing in some change. As we know, it's in Scorpio, so it's a sun that's asking us to focus a little bit more on our thoughts, our communications, because it's wind, and our emotions around that. Now, the next slide, which is the moon, which we know is being affected, it's opposite the sun. There is a full moon. The full moon here is in a nakshatra called Bharani, and it's in the second pada. It's called the star of restraint. And so this particular nakshatra is ruling deity is Yama, and is the god of death in Hindu philosophy. And this one is sort of, so we saw the sun is all about changing, and this one, of course, is also about this beginnings or endings, or birth and death. And it's in the second pada here, and so it's ruled by an earth sign, and its keyword here, theme, is altruism. And the ruling planet is Venus, and the symbol is the celestial yoni. And the basis above here is material, and the basis below is spiritual. Or we could say the Shakti power here is the one that can take life from the body and carry the soul to the land of the ancestors. So we see here in these two nakshatras with the sun and the moon, these themes around birth and death and adaptability to this period of time in the year, where we are dealing with we're coming down to the end of a cycle here, the end of this year. It's the Scorpio season, and we know Scorpio rules death and transformation. So this is a really good time to really lean into, with this full moon, into what we have to let go of as we move into getting closer to the end of the year here.
Well, and it's sure been windy at my house, and the trees are certainly letting go of their leaves so that they can focus on, sending their energy to the roots, because I've been having to have my roof blown off quite often in the last few weeks. It's happened a couple of times. So, that change in the vegetation around, it's like, even though the leaves are dying or falling off, it's like the tree isn't dying, it's just changing where it sends its energy. So I like that. Thank you for sharing. And then Justin has some favorable activities for
Yeah,
us.
so
This
based
full
on these nakshatras, there's some favorable activities that are suggested at this particular period of time. Of course, socializing and social events. We already mentioned this on the November the November planetary overview, based on the nakshatras that the sun is going through this at this particular period of time for this month. So socializing and social events are important this month, or are really favorable, auspicious, and so is diplomacy, or business and trade, writing and editing. And really, from a spiritual perspective, any type of asceticism, ascetic, I can never say that word, being, where you are letting go of everything and practicing self-discipline, is important here. And so is fasting, or breath work and meditation, and really just beginnings and endings because of this time of year. And with this full moon, sun in Scorpio and moon in Taurus. So, and I would say also, because there's a little bit more of a wind and um, water thing going on at this particular period of time, that's sort of it also represents our thoughts and our thinking and our communications, especially with this moon.
And I know we're having king tides today, and I believe the next couple of days, and I think it was yesterday also. So those water levels can be higher, and like for where I live, with the wind blowing, it can even bring up the water a little bit higher than maybe what's normal.
Right. But the wind thing I'm talking about here is more from a psychological standpoint, not quite literally in the world. But this god of the wind is really about a psychological aspect in people's personality with communications or their thinking. So
Well, thank you. And we're using the chart for Seattle, and the ascendant is at 23 degrees of Libra, ruled by Venus in Libra. The midheaven is 0 degrees Leo, ruled by the sun in Scorpio. The sun is at 13 degrees Scorpio, ruled by the traditional ruler Mars in Sagittarius and the modern ruler Pluto in Aquarius. And the moon is 13 degrees Taurus, and Venus in Libra is its ruler. Would you like to add anything to this?
no, I think you got it covered.
So we're going to jump into the Sabian symbols for this full moon. Sabian symbols were channeled in 1925 by spiritualist medium Elzie with the assistance of Mark Edmund Jones. They are a saying that create a symbolic image for each degree of the zodiac. So we're going to start with the Sabian symbol for the sun. We cover 3. The degree before is the leading up. The degree of it is the now, and the next degree is what's coming next. Would you like to start, Justin?
Sure, thanks. So the Scorpio 12 degrees here is the symbol here is an official embassy ball. And so the keynote here is group consciousness as it flows at the highest level and cultural interchanges between representatives of the elite of the ruling class. That's the way Dame Rudyard and Mark Edmund Jones had worked on this. The key phrase is the display of power, prestige, and wealth.
And then Scorpio 13 of where we're at right now, an inventor performs a laboratory experiment. And the keynote is the driving urge towards achievement, which is at the root of civilization. And the key phrase is ability to relate seemingly unrelated facts.
And then Scorpio 14 degrees is telephone lineman at work installing new connections. And here we see the need to establish new channels of communication, the will to association or comprehension with others.
And that one kind of goes in alignment with that nakshatra for the sun of the wind, right?
Yeah, and I think, and then of course, part of this is also mental ability to relate seemingly unrelated facts. I think when I look at these symbols, I'd be curious what you think, but I do kind of see that that we're looking at here a kind of more of a mental and communication thing going on here, being open to trying new things with relationships and trying new channels of communication with others and being able to change our perception about the facts about our relationships.
I agree with that. And then the first one talks about socializing on a certain level. So it's like they're relating back to suggestions that you gave us for the month. So I like how it's like they correspond with each other so well. So we're going to do the moon, 13 degrees Taurus, with the degree leading up to is 12 Taurus, a young couple window shopping. The keynote is fascination of the youthful ego with the products of its culture. And the key phrase is socialization of desire. So there we go again with socialization. Go ahead, Justin, with the
Right.
next one.
And then Taurus 13 degrees is a porter carrying heavy baggage, self mobilization for social advantage. And here we have a compulsion for gain.
And then the next degree, Taurus 14, on the beach, children play while shellfish grope at the edge of the water. The keynote, returning to simple joys of revitalization. And the key phrase is live and let live attitude. I like that.
Yeah, I did too. Yep.
So how would you sum the moon degrees up?
Well, it's I think this could be an abundant time for us. I think when we're talking about abundance here, you've got that the people window shopping, they're carrying heavy luggage. So we're talking about a gain or abundance of something here. And I think that we could have a lot of abundance and gain with socializing with our relationships right now. If we just have to let some things go and live and let live and take us, try to take the end of this year at a kind of a more slower, simpler pace. I think this could be this moon could be very healing for us in just kind of live and let live.
I like that. And, I've been cleaning out my garage and it's like releasing things then brings other things that are needed back to me. So it's like really that flow of, purging and then, purging a number of items and just getting the one or two things that could be
Right.
useful. I like that.
And I think this also really speaks to relationships. I'm going to go back to more the mental instead of the literal thing about in our real world, we're cleaning the garage or whatever we're doing. I'm going to take this back to like relationships here because we are talking about a young couple here, and then of course on the beach children are playing. I think this really can also relate to abundance in our relationships and abundance of socializing with others, and really having an attitude of gratitude about our relationships and what we need to hold on to in relationships and what we need to let go of in relationships or purge.
Oh, thank you for that. That's wonderful. So, again, here's the sun and the moon opposite each other, and this chart is for Seattle. And then we're going to go into the moon aspects. We have moon sextile the north node, trine the south node, square Pallas Athena, semi-square Neptune, and quincunx Juno. So, any of those that jump out at you that you want to cover?
Yeah, I think I knew what I was going to say earlier with this. I think the sextile with the north node is really supporting a creative flow to accomplishing what we want to accomplish with that. And I think that the quincunx with Juno really speaks to and bringing some balance into our relationships, especially since it's philosophy there with Sagittarius and of course Taurus with abundance. So I think again that's the moon is asking us to bring some balance in our concepts or what we're thinking about our relationships.
Yeah, some readjustments. I like that. That's great. So,
What about you?
um, well, I think when we get into the aspect patterns, I'll jump in more. But we had talked earlier, and I think this is where you can add that in. So, the different signs to this full moon in Taurus. Do you want to do that now?
Yeah, I was actually going to do that. Definitely. Yeah. So for anybody that's watching, and let's say you do have a moon, or I'm sorry, your moon or your sun in Taurus, then this is going to be almost like a new moon for you. You're almost going to feel like you need to start something new at this point. But if you have a sun or moon in Gemini or Aries, which are the signs on either side of this, then this moon for you is creating a semi-sextile or semi-square. So there's some creative tension going on there, and you're being challenged to be creative and make some changes. And then if you're sun or moon are in Aquarius or Leo, then this moon is squaring your natal sun, and this moon is going to create this Taurus moon is going to create more of a again tension that's creating some need for change. And then if you're Virgo Sun or Capricorn Sun, or Virgo Moon or Capricorn Moons, we know people like that, then this is an easy flow of, and could bring some abundance, easy abundance for you, and then of course if you're a Pisces or Cancer, then this moon is sextiling your natal sun, and that's just a creative energy there. So that's how this moon can be affecting people personally based on your natal sun or your natal moon.
Well, and I'm not sure, maybe you mentioned it and I just missed it, but if you have it in Libra or Sagittarius, that'll be a quincunx, so it's an
Yeah.
adjustment phase. And then if you have the sun or moon in Scorpio, that's opposite the moon. So um, that's like you're having a full moon happening for you. So it's an illumination time.
And that quincunx is about bringing some sense of balance in between. So this moon and let's say that you have the sun in Sagittarius or sun in Libra, um then there could be the kind of this need to bring some balance in your emotions at this particular period of time.
Well, thank you. And if our audience wants to comment and let us know how they liked that we add that, we can continue to add that in future shows. So we're going to go on to some aspect patterns. We have a yod pointing, or the apex point for Venus, which is quincunx Uranus, and then Saturn and Neptune. And then Saturn and Neptune are sextile to Uranus. Then we have a T-square Grand Cross configuration with Venus opposite Chiron and Eris, and then Jupiter loosely opposite Pluto there. And then we have a Mars opposite Uranus that's um, pretty important, and that's with the orange line. So which one would you like to talk about, Justin?
Yeah, I want to bring up this Mars opposite Uranus because anytime we know that when Mars, which is a planet of effort and action, and it aspects or sees Uranus, it creates some level of need for change and also risk. This is an indicator of risk because if we ever see it conjuncting Mars or squaring, Uranus conjuncting Mars or squaring it or any aspects, it tends to bring some level of that self quickening. I've got to get something going and I got to do it now. So I think this Mars opposite Uranus is bringing a sort of a caution right now of sudden changes. And I think if we see what's happening in the collective with this, I think this is where we see if we're doing mundane astrology, I think this could be really representative of the disruption in air travel right now and travel in general, but especially with air travel.
Yes, exactly. And they're talking about that, the TSA, they don't have enough TSA agents. And so they're closing partial parts of the airport to do TSA. So it's going to slow down things. And then the air traffic controllers, they don't have enough of those. And so it's like impacting travel for sure. I find it interesting. Venus is very active in this full moon. It rules the full moon for number one. Then it's the apex point of a yod and um, opposite Chiron and Eris. So to me, Venus is very active. She's in one of her signs that she really likes, but she has, some adjustments and challenging things that, need to take place. Um, or wanting change around those. And Chiron's the wounded healer, and Eris is about justice for everybody and fairness. And Venus and Libra wants balance and fairness, like trying to
Yeah.
reestablish that. It's like there's some changes that need to probably occur to make those happen. Do you want to add anything?
No, I think you got that covered.
Okay. And then we have a mystical rectangle with the sun, south node, moon, and north node. Then we have a couple of trines Jupiter trine Neptune, Saturn, and Juno trine Ceres. And it's not marked in this slide, but I'll just mention the ongoing mini grand trine between Pluto, trine Uranus, and their sextile Saturn and Neptune. And this has been going on for months and will continue to go on for several months. So I didn't draw it in because I felt it would be too much on the screen. So what would you like to talk about, Justin?
Yeah, well, I really like that the two luminaries, the sun and the moon, are in a mystic rectangle here with the nodes. I think that's actually auspicious in a way, and I think this really is supporting what the nodes are trying to accomplish at this particular period of time. We've got that south node in Virgo, the North Node in Pisces there. And so this is trying to fix something at this time or improve something. And I think with the two luminaries in fixed signs, but signs are also working towards some sense of transformation. I think this is really auspicious at this period of time, that if somebody's wanting to make some changes in their life, this is very supportive of it.
I would agree. And you put in the work and effort and you'll accomplish your goals. So,
Yeah.
and then Juno is trine Ceres. So I find that interesting. Juno's the relationship asteroid, and Ceres is it rules grief and it rules food and grain. So they're in a working relationship. So, maybe we'll get some resolution around um, for people for food stamps and those kind of things, and food banks that have been, having extra challenges that maybe people will just donate. I'm not sure.
Well, oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, would you like to add something to that?
Well, I was going to say, again, from a mundane astrology perspective, when we're talking about what's going on, I think you're talking about the food stamps and food, and we're dealing with families and children. I think a lot of that is also represented with the Jupiter in Cancer.
Hmm.
Um, and the fact that it's right now it's trining Neptune and Saturn, but as we know, it's about ready to go retrograde. And I think this is a period where um, these issues are going to be talked about more, about families and about children, and who do we support. And I think that we see that with the Jupiter in Cancer. And it's really, this is a time to be really, focusing on helping others. And I think this is going to be a really good holiday season for people. A certain amount of the collective that's really going to lean into making sure people have enough, whereas the other part of the collective is kind of playing that Saturnian energy. And there's going to be definitely some lessons that come out of this, from an aspect of kindness and giving and supporting others.
Right, because that Saturn kind of is restrictive, but then Neptune's really close there. So coming up with new ideas and new plans for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to say?
No, that's all I would say.
So, anything that you'd like to sum up for the full moon or ideas for people?
Well, I'm going to go back to the Nakshatras, that this is a really good time to back to those favorable activities. I think this is a good time of year to socialize, and to, like you're always talking about breathing and breath work. I mean, you constantly mention that, don't you?
Yes, and getting out for a walk on a nice day. I took my friends the other day down to the beach and we walked along a trail that was really close to the beach that we could see the beach and the birds, and that was enjoyable. So even just walk, kind of a walking meditation, so to speak.
Right. And I think this is the time of year to really focus on giving and nurturing yourself and nurturing others. and being kind. I think that's what I get out of this period of time we're in.
Well, thank you for sharing that with me and the audience. And now I'm going to talk a little bit about the lunar phase family or gestation cycle. It uses the 4 phases: new, first quarter, full, and last quarter, like the moon every month. But this lasts, each phase lasts 9 months. So it's about a 3-year period. And so we're at the full moon phase. So the new phase began on May 7th of 2024 at 18 degrees Taurus. Then the first quarter was February 5th of 25 at 16 degrees Taurus. And now we're at the full phase here, November of 25 at 13 degrees Taurus. And then the third quarter phase will be August 5th of 26 at 13 degrees Taurus. So, if you journal, you can kind of see like maybe what you started in May of 24 and see how that's working. Because oftentimes at the full phase, now you'll know what's working and what maybe isn't working. So it's like maybe release what's not working or just release the project for a time and maybe pick it up at a later date. Anything you'd like to add?
No, that's I think you got it covered.
And then the yearly lunar phase, we had the Taurus new moon on April 27th of 25 at 7 degrees Taurus. And now we're at the Taurus full moon at 13 degrees Taurus. And so I just like to throw that in because you might have started something in April and, how is that progressing? Um, and then of course, we have from new moon to full moon to new moon again each month. So it's like we have several different moon phases that we can use to work on things because some things take a little longer to manifest or work on and launch than others.
Exactly.
So, Justin, I want to thank you for joining me today. I appreciate it. And of course, we'll be back with other episodes to share with you. And I want to thank all those that are watching live and those that come back and watch at a later date. Justin and I both do consultations in person and on Zoom. We have newsletters and YouTube channels, so we always appreciate you subscribing and supporting us. And Justin's going to tell you about his slide here.
Yeah, the best way to get a hold of me is through my email at justin.elzie@gmail.com. And you could find me on YouTube. Or if you are in the Seattle area, I also write a weekly horoscope for the Port Townsend Leader newspaper. And so that's one way to keep track of your weekly planetary transits. Let's just put it that way.
Oh, that sounds good. And then, of course, I have some archives of many shows, and then we do 1 to 3 shows a week, and I have numerous guests on, so lots for you to choose from. And Justin and I will be on Talk Cosmos on November 16th, talking about the Scorpio new moon at 28 degrees. We are part of the Archetypal Symbols team. And I want to thank our sponsor, Astro Peregrine Software, an astrology software for Mac and Windows. And you can find out more information or book a demo at astroperegrine.com. So I want to thank everybody for joining us today. And Justin, thank you again.
Thank
And
you.
look forward to seeing you all next time. So we're going to say goodbye for now and see you next time. Bye.
Bye.